Hello, welcome back to Peak and Valley Life. My name's Ethan, and in the last episode, my doctor told me I have 3 to 9 months to live. So you might be wondering how I received this news, what it was like. So we met with my surgeon, and then my gastro doc came in, and I joked with my wife that this was not a good sign because every time I've seen this doctor in the last several months, she would continually give me worse and worse news. And this was no exception. She sat down, she looked very serious, and she told me that I was now officially stage 4, that the cancer had spread to my lymph nodes. There would be no surgery, there would be no cure, and the only thing left for me now was palliative care. I sat there in shock for a few minutes, and I didn't want to believe it, of course. I pressed her for more information. I asked her, is there no chance for remission? And she said no. I asked her for some sort of timeline. She was not very willing to share an answer with me about my prognosis. I continued to press her. I told her that, I have family, I have things to take care of. Should I get my affairs in order? And she said yes. I asked her quite frankly, look, I need a best and worst case scenario here so I know what kind of time I have left. And she told me, worst case scenario, end of the year, best case scenario, middle of next year. This was in September. So I sat there for a moment and I took that in. But my need to know made me ask, so what happens now? How does this end for me? And she told me that it's a very aggressive cancer. It'll probably move quickly. Now that it was in my lymph nodes, it would likely spread to my liver, my lungs, my bones, my brain, and that they would all slowly start to fail. With medication, they can ease the symptoms and minimize the pain. I would just get more and more tired, and eventually I would no longer be getting out of bed, and then eventually I'd no longer be waking up. This was very different from my first diagnosis. Me and Terry always had tremendous optimism that we were going to beat this. This was not that. To paraphrase Churchill, this was not the end of the beginning. This was the beginning of the end. So after that, it was pretty much just logistics. I don't remember a lot. I remember that they're going to start me on a chemotherapy, immunotherapy treatment. Basically, it was my last line of defense. And that was it. We walked out, didn't say much. We drove back. The only thing we decided on the way home was to stop at the grocery store where we bought a bottle of Jack Daniels, and we decided that tonight we would get drunk. We got back to the house. I heated up the hot tub, started drinking, started talking. We talked about the old times. We talked about our lives. We tried to talk about things that we wanted to do before the end. The only thing we decided to do is that I really wanted to see the ocean. So that's what we planned to do. And we cried. We hugged each other and cried and cursed our lousy luck. So the next morning we woke up with a hangover and anger. We decided that we weren't giving up yet. We were going to search out second opinions. We're going to search out other doctors. We're going to search out other treatments. we decided that I wasn't dead yet. We weren't going to act like it, and we were going to fight. So after that, Terry made an appointment with my local oncologist, as opposed to my doctor in Schaumburg, who's a lot more positive about my prognosis. She said that the chemotherapy, immunotherapy combination treatment was doing some really good things. And as she put it, there was a very good chance that we could put my cancer to sleep, even if I was never going to be cured. So as we were discussing with my doctor about second opinions and all of that stuff, her phone rings, and it turns out that it was my surgeon. But she got off the phone and she said that there was good news, that my surgeon wasn't convinced. I'd had some issues with my lymph nodes before. On some scans, I had some false positives, and he wanted to be 100% sure. And that meant, of course, to be 100% sure, it would mean another biopsy. And while I wasn't excited about having another surgery, I was excited that this could be a door out, that I could have surgery, and that I would still be able to be cured of this.
While we anxiously awaited the appointment for the biopsy, we tried to get on with life as normally as possible. I say normally, as Ethan still wasn't able to eat and could barely drink, so all of his nutritional needs were being supplied by the tracheostomy tube. This ritual begins by cleaning the tube with a syringe full of water before feeding it through a pump. As if being attached to this tube for 15 hours a day wasn't enough, the tube came with other problems. Ethan was restricted to sleeping on one side only. He also often woke up in the night with stomach cramps, and even more often because the tube had become blocked and detached itself, spilling feed everywhere. The site where the tube entered Ethan's body often became infected and was painful. While the physical problems were plenty, the emotional problems were there too. We no longer cooked or ate meals together, something that we had previously loved to do. I felt guilty eating in front of Ethan, and he felt guilty for not sitting to the table and eating with me. You have no idea how important eating together is until you can no longer do it. Again, lost count of times. Yeah.
Hello everyone, I'm back in the hospital again. It's a big procedure today. I'm having an open cavity biopsy to confirm if I have some cancerous lymph nodes. The stakes for this biopsy are pretty high. If they are cancerous, then I am definitely metastatized, and I'm stage 4, and the doctors don't feel like there's a long time after that. Of course, I'm hoping for remission, but my stomach doctor came in last night and she wasn't exactly cheerleading for me. So my surgery starts in about 2 hours. It's a very stressful moment right now.
Ethan awoke from his surgery very dazed and confused. Unlike his previous surgeries, which were robotic, this one had been open, and he was in a lot of pain. When I saw him, he just managed to open his eyes briefly before falling back to sleep. Over the next few days, his condition did not improve at all. The doctors told me that they thought he may be hemorrhaging as his blood pressure was dropping. I couldn't believe it. This had happened the last time he'd been in for lymph node surgery, and I just couldn't believe it would be happening again. Ethan was taken down for a second surgery, And when he came back up and I saw him, my heart almost broke. He looked so frail. He had tubes coming out of him everywhere. His skin was yellow, his lips were cracked, and he kept making this strange motion with his arms, like above his head, like snatching things out of the air. And I said to him, "Ethan, what are you doing?" And he just looked at me. His eyes were glassy, and I knew he didn't know who I was. He remained like this for the next few days. Sometimes he knew who I was, and sometimes he didn't. One time I went to visit him, and he called me over and he said, "Oh, I need you to call my aunt and my uncle." His aunt and uncle were due to come over and visit us for a few days. And I said, "Okay, what do you want me to say to them?" And he said, "You need to tell them not to come. It's too late. I'm dying. I'm going to be dead before they get here." And I said, "Ethan, you're not dying. You're just really sick." And he just looked at me and he said, "I'm not coming out of this hospital." I was so concerned about his condition. I spoke with the medical staff and I asked them if I could see the surgeon to find out what was going on. And I spoke with the surgeon and he said they had drained a lot of fluid from Ethan's abdomen, but they couldn't find the source of the leak. They thought he may have an infection, and the surgeon told me they felt this was the source of his delirium. The next day they administered antibiotics, and he began to improve a little bit, although he was in intensive care for 2 weeks. I have to admit, there were times when I wondered if he would leave the hospital too. Eventually, he was well enough to be moved up to the ward. And that's when things got worse. Ethan called me one morning. I was only allowed to visit him in the afternoon, so it was quite early in the morning when he called. And he told me that the surgeon had come round to see him, and he had a bunch of people with him, probably students. And he told him that the results of his biopsy had come back, and it was confirmed. They showed adenocarcinoma and he was stage 4. And then the surgeon left, and he left Ethan alone with this news. And I was so devastated and so angry. He was all alone dealing with this. After this, Ethan slipped into a really dark place. He was in pain. He was emaciated. He was distraught, and there was nothing I could do to pull him out of it. He just wanted to go home. He didn't want to be in the hospital. He wanted to go home to die. He was in the hospital for another week before they released him. And when we got home, things weren't really that much better. His aunt and uncle came to visit, and that really was a relief. We were so grateful to have someone to talk to about something other than cancer, and they really helped us being here. Once they left, Ethan and I determined to set out and complete his bucket list.
All right, let's go to the ocean.
Let's go!
The sea.
Let's go see the sea.
Yeah.
And see what we can see. Finally. Yay! Yay! Vacation.
It's been a long time coming.
It's been a bloody long time coming.
ocean.
So I wanted to push record.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's it.
I think that is the ocean.
Yay!
Yeah.
After a 3.5-hour drive, we finally made it to the Ligurian coastline, and we were super excited to see the sea. We followed the little coast road along until we found the perfect park up with the most amazing views over the water. We took Sid out to stretch her wings, and once she had finished exploring, we went back to Jaime, pulled out a couple of chairs and relaxed with a cocktail. The next morning, we awoke to a spectacular sunrise, and while Ethan went for a walk along the beach to be alone with his thoughts, Sid and I got some breakfast. We then joined Ethan on the beach to tick off one of our bucket list items. And although it was November and we knew the water would be cold, we absolutely had to dip our feet in the sea. And while this moment made us both happy, it was, understandably, tinged with a little sadness, and Ethan became a little overwhelmed.
Don't get depressed, baby. We've got some things to look forward to, right? Haven't we? We've got, hopefully the boat flow.
Yeah.
Boat flow for Christmas. We'll try to get to the coast again even in the winter as far south as we can manage. We'll, go and discover some new places we haven't been to before.
After our walk along the beach, we dipped into the back streets of the little town of Albizola to soak up some culture and enjoy the beautiful architecture. The next morning, we watched as a huge cruise ship blotted out the sunrise on its way to the port city of Savona. We decided to follow it and visit the city ourselves to see what it had to offer. It felt amazing to just be a couple of tourists again. Never once for following an itinerary, we decided instead just to wander the streets and see what happened. Being renowned as the city of popes, it wasn't long until we came across a church. Although not one of Savona's many famous churches, it was nonetheless absolutely beautiful. One of the best things about travelling with Sid is seeing the smiles on people's faces as they notice her sitting on one of our shoulders. Sid loves making friends, and she brings absolute joy to everyone she meets. And of course, Sid is not averse to being the centre of attention. Under normal circumstances, around about now, we'd be searching for a restaurant in which to enjoy a spot of lunch. Obviously, this was no longer possible for us, so we decided to find a nice bar with an outdoor terrace where we could enjoy a glass of wine. Before we knew it, it was time to head home. Ethan was due to start his new protocol of chemotherapy, immunotherapy in a few days. As we headed towards our mountains, we could see that winter was well on the way. And there would be increasingly dark days ahead. In just 6 short months, Ethan had gone from a healthy and vibrant person to a shell of his former self.
So, I'm here at the hospital now. I'm starting my new treatment for chemoimmunotherapy. This is one of my last chances. I would lie if I said I'm not nervous about the effects of this. There's a lot on this. There's a lot on this protocol. I won't know for 3 months if it's effective or not, but this will be my first of 6 treatments, and I hope it works. So I guess it's time for me to go get hooked up. See you later.
If you or a loved one are suffering from this terrible disease, we have left some resources in the comments section below that we found to be both informative and supportive during this journey. Please help to support the channel by liking and subscribing, and don't forget to click the notification bell so you can be informed when we post the last part of this series.